So immediately after losing 3 out of 4 to the Boston Red Sox, two of the losses they should have won, they blew 2 games in really, really pathetic fashion. It was astounding. Like, they could have had 3 out of 4 from Boston, division hopes still alive, come into Tampa in the trade deadline with a lot of energy, but they didn't. They looked dead. They won 1 game, they came back, but then they let Boston come back in the last game from no-hitter to no-win in the 8th inning. Yeah, that did happen. It was very bad. They came into Tampa. Their offensive struggles continued. This year, they've kind of showed throughout the year that they're not the offensive juggernaut that we thought they were. And if they're going to win a lot of games, it's going to come on the backs of the starting pitching. But the starting pitching in the first 2 games of the set was very good. Jordan Montgomery went 5 shutout in Game 1, and Nestor Cortez went 5 innings of 1-run ball in Game 2. In both of those games, especially the second game, the bullpen was pretty good. It was okay in the first game. Chad Green gave up a 2-run homer to Lau, and then 1 run scored off of Zach Britton. In the second game, they got 5 shutout innings, 2 from Litke, 1 from Britton, 1 from Chad Green, and 1 from Aroldis Chapman in the 10th inning. Their offensive struggles continued. In the second game, they scored 1 run through 9 innings, and the opposing starter was Michael Wacha, who came into the game with an ERA over 5. And I don't know what it is, but they can't seem to hit pitchers with ERAs over 5. I mean, Wacha's got an ERA over 5 against everyone else, but it's in the 2s against the Yankees. The run they scored off him wasn't even earned. Or did they even score it off him? I can't remember. It was a couple of days ago. But, yeah, they scored a couple runs in the 10th inning. Sorry, not 9th. The 10th inning. Fielding error. Went as a hit, but Wander Franco, if he fields that ball, it's an easy double play. And a wild pitch. A bunch of double plays over the couple of games. Glaber grounded into one in the first game. Then there was a couple of bad luck ones in the second game, just balls. One was hard hit right to third off Glaber's bat, and they doubled up Judge with the secondary lead. There was one earlier with Gio lacing one right to second. They doubled up Wade with the secondary lead, which that's kind of bad luck. I mean, the guys were getting secondary leads, and then the ball was hit just right to the fielder, and he was able to touch the base. So those were bad luck double plays. Those weren't the typical. I mean, they did kill the rallies, but they weren't the typical you rolled over one to short that you were trying to pull into the left field bleachers type thing. Then in Game 3 was just a nightmare. Lost 14-0. They didn't even score a run. And the Rays weren't even putting out their best relievers towards the end. I mean, they were down by 14. The Rays were up by 14. The Yankees just dead offensively. From the first inning, they were down 4-0. Cole settled in the middle innings, 2nd through 5th, had 10 strikeouts, but then he gave up a few more runs in the 6th inning. Went 5 1/3. His ERA is now up to 3.11. FIP is still in the 2s. Then Albert Abreu imploded. He did not pitch well. With Abreu, the question with Abreu isn't stuff, it's command. Abreu has really good stuff, but his command has been an issue. Kind of like Jonathan Loaizaga a couple of years ago. Now, he wasn't this bad, but the question with Loaizaga was, is he going to be able to refine that command to the point where he can be a dominant reliever? And he took the next step this year, and now he is one of our most dominant relievers. So Albert Abreu, if he could refine that command, could be a really, really solid piece out of our bullpen. So Yankees going off to Miami today. They'll send out Jameson Taillon, 6-4 with a 4.36 ERA. And on the mound for Miami will be Zach Thompson, who is 2-3 with a 2.45 ERA. Marlins with really good pitching, but their offense isn't the best, especially without Starling Marte now. And the Yankees will be going in with offensive reinforcements, and bullpen reinforcements as well. Not flashy bullpen names, but names that could work. They changed things up a little bit. The Yankees acquired Joey Gallo and Joely Rodriguez for Josh Smith, their number 14 prospect, Ezekiel Duran, number 15, Trevor Hauver, number 23, and Glenn Otto, number 28. That was coming into this year. And they got Anthony Rizzo for Alexander Vizcaino and Kevin Alcantara. A couple more prospects. And they got the Rangers to eat all the salary for Gallo and Rodriguez, and they got the Cubs to eat all the salary for Anthony Rizzo. So they're still $4 million under the luxury tax. They brought in a couple of lefty bats. Joey Gallo is a really good defender. He is Gold Glove caliber defense in the outfield. He can also play a little first if you need him to. He's played a little first, little third in his career. He's also played center field and left field and right field. So he's played a lot of positions in his career. So he gives them a little bit of versatility if they need it. Really good hitter. He's a 3-true outcomes guy, so he walks a ton, hits a ton of homers, but he does strike out a ton. So you're adding a bunch more strikeouts to that lineup, but the Yankees haven't hit too many home runs this year, especially from the left side. Joey Gallo's going to help with that. He's going to get on base, and he provides a different look. He's not your typical right-handed power hitter. He's a left-handed power hitter. So against righties, it's hard in, soft away. You kind of, let's say you get into too much of a groove and you kind of pull a slider that would be down and away to a righty. It's down and into Gallo right in the wheelhouse. That ball's gone. So pitchers can't get into as many grooves. And then Anthony Rizzo, platinum glove caliber defense at first base, which already is going to help guys like Gleyber Torres, who a lot of his defensive issues this year have been throwing errors. Like you look early in the year against Baltimore, where they lost the game because Gleyber couldn't make the throw to first to get Pedro Severino. It was a bad throw, but a good first baseman probably scoops it and gets the out. But Jay Bruce wasn't first baseman, he was an outfielder, so he wasn't able to scoop it. So Gleyber Torres, Gleyber's helped a lot with a good first baseman, because a lot of those would-be throwing errors now might be corralled and scooped by Rizzo out at first. And he's a lefty, a left-handed bat at first base, which now you've got 2 lefties in your lineup, 3 if you go with Greg Allen against a right-handed pitcher, or Estevan Florial, who was just optioned last night, so I don't think he factors into their plans just yet. So that does bring up actually one more thing on Rizzo. He's a contact lefty. So he's not a big strikeout, big home run guy. He's going to hit 25 to 30 home runs a year, maybe in the 30s on a good year. But he doesn't strike out a ton. He gets on base, not a big strikeout guy. So a contact lefty really helps their lineup balance. Now, if they want, they can do some right-left stuff in the top of the order to keep pitchers from getting into grooves. Now, the bottom of the order is still going to be 3 or 4 right-handed hitters just straight in a line, which could be problematic. We've seen it be problematic this year for 7 or 8 hitters just right-handed, but these trades definitely help the offense a little bit. Definitely help the balance, and they give some different looks than what the Yankees have. Now, the question that brings up, though, is now Rizzo's entrenched at first base. He's your starting first baseman. DJ LeMahieu's your starting second baseman. Your starting shortstop is Gleyber Torres, and you've got Gio Urshela at third base. And at this point, Stanton is your DH. Unless, a couple of things could happen that change that. And brings up the question of what do you do with Luke Voigt? There's been rumors that Voigt could be on the trade block, which, he's one heck of a hitter. He is a really good hitter, and he's not a terrible defender at first base. Like, he's a really, really good player. But the problem is he's the same hitter that the Yankees have 5, 6, 7, 8 of. Right-handed, big power, big strikeout guy. So, at this point, his name could be on the trade block. And he could be traded before the deadline today at 4 p.m. Or, you could see them try to maybe put Gallo in left field, put Judge in center, and then maybe run Stanton out there in right field until he gets injured. And then you could DH Luke Voigt. I don't really see them doing this. They haven't put Stanton in the outfield all year. I don't think they'd be inclined to now, just to hold on to Voigt. And I don't think they're going to be able to trade Stanton, just with how injured he's been in the last few years. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. No one's going to take on that contract. He looks lost at the plate right now. And I think that maybe going out onto the field and playing some defense could help him get his mind off of hitting just a little bit. Because if your job, all it is hit, 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 once you aren't doing too great at hitting, that's all you think about. Whereas if you put him out there in right field for a game, or left field for a game, maybe he's able to get into a mindset where he's focusing on fielding a ball or watching the batter, or paying attention, just being locked in to something that's not an offensive approach. Maybe it'll loosen him up a little bit, honestly. Maybe it could help him get back on track offensively. Then again, maybe not. Maybe with some guys you see lack of offense leak into defense, and they start fielding poorly. So you could try Stanton in the outfield and Voigt at DH, but more than likely, I think they're going to try to find a trade partner for Luke Voigt before the deadline. And I don't think they're done yet, because they got the Rangers to eat the salaries for Gallo and Joely Rodriguez, leaving them with about $4 million to play with. Then they traded for Rizzo and got the Cubs to eat all of his salary. So if they were done, they could have taken on maybe $3 million of Rizzo's salary and given up a lesser prospect. But they got the Cubs to eat that salary. They had to give up probably a better prospect than they would have had to without the Cubs eating that salary at all. So they've still got $4 million to play with, and I don't think they're done yet. I think they're going to go out and make another move, or another couple of moves today. They could always use some more starting pitching, because every year now they said they've had an injured pitcher, and at the deadline they've said, oh, we're going to get Severino back, or this year we're going to get Severino and Kluber back, and it's going to be just like a big addition. But the problem is you're rolling dice on them being able to get back in the first place. And if they're able to get back, you're banking on them being sharp pretty much right out of the box. So you'd rather have too much starting pitching than too little. And B, you want an established guy who's shown that he can pitch this year. So that you know what you're getting. Even if it's not an ace caliber, even if it's like a middle-of-the-rotation caliber starting pitcher, like a number 3, maybe, number 4, who, never know, maybe could be like a number 2. But paying for a really good starting pitcher that's not a rental is going to cost a lot in prospect capital. But if you get another established starting pitcher, then there's less pressure on Kluber and Severino to come back healthy. They don't have to pitch as many innings, because Severino hasn't pitched in 2 years. I mean, you can't expect him to be sharp right out of the gate. Look at Kluber early. When he started the very beginning of the season, he was very rusty. Then he started pitching like vintage Kluber, which was a big boost. Then the no-hitter, and then the injury, which kind of, I mean, that was a big energy drain for that team. I mean, Kluber going down was almost kind of marked. Actually, I don't remember exactly when it was, but I mean, the Yankees were on a pretty decent stretch up until Kluber got injured, and then they lost the series to Toronto. So that was a big energy drain on that team. I mean, getting him back will be nice, but you can't expect that Kluber's going to be able to go out and give 5-6 innings in a playoff game. You can't expect that Severino will be able to go out and give 5-6 innings in a playoff game. So right now you've got Cole. Jameson Taillon is starting to round into form. He's lowered his ERA from up around 5.9 to now 4.3. His ERA plus right now is 100. So he has gotten his season to the point where he's a league average pitcher. So I think he could slot in as a solid number 2 if he's able to keep this up. But he's looked like what the Yankees were trading for, what the Yankees thought they were getting back from Pittsburgh. Then you've got Jordan Montgomery, who's a solid number 3. Maybe if you pick up another starter, you've got 3 at least reliable guys, maybe 4. Then you can slide Domingo Germán back to the bullpen, or Nestor Cortes back to the bullpen. But if Nestor Cortes keeps looking good as a starter, why not run him out there as a starter who can give you 5 or 6 innings? Because Nestor Cortes has looked really good. So if he could be a weapon out of the bullpen or as a starting pitcher. Domingo Germán, if you're able to move him back to the bullpen, then you can rest him the rest of the year. Instead of asking 5 or 6 innings every 5 days, you can ask for like 2-3 innings every few days. Keep his innings down while putting him into important situations. So I think they're going to target some more pitching. And then if they don't get a starter, they can get a bullpen arm to shore up their bullpen, which has been very shaky lately. So expect the Yankees to make at least another move. I think they're going. They've set it up in a way that it looks like they're going to make another move. Like if you thought they were done after Joey Gallo, went out and picked up Rizzo, who is a rental. Gallo signed through next year. Anthony Rizzo's a rental. But then if they next year go out, which if they trade Voigt and they don't re-sign Rizzo, like they just got a lefty rental, it almost makes me think that their off-season plan is to pick up a left-handed hitting infielder. I've heard Corey Seager. The issue with Corey Seager is he's been injured quite a bit over his career. I think he had another injury-prone season this year. The last thing the Yankees need is another injury-prone guy, so I'm not too high on Corey Seager, but I wouldn't be too disappointed. You could try to re-sign Anthony Rizzo. Long shot here, but you could try to sign Freddie Freeman out of Atlanta. I don't think he'd leave Atlanta. I think he's going to re-sign there, but if they want to blow 50-60 million above the threshold. But another thing they could do, kind of that would be cheaper than all of these guys, Kyle Seager from the Seattle Mariners, if they don't pick up his option, which it looks like they might not. But if they don't pick up his option, then the Yankees could potentially try to sign Kyle Seager, who's pretty good left-handed hitting third baseman. Then you can move Gio to short, you can move Gleyber to second and DJ to first. You've got a lefty in the infield. You've got Gleyber Torres at second base instead of shortstop. Then you've got DJ at first, and he's capable of handling first. And then you've got Gio at short, who's capable of handling shortstop. So you've got a pretty good defensive infield. And then you've got Joey Gallo in left, you've got Judge in right, you've got maybe Hicks in center. Maybe if Hicks is injured, maybe you go with Florial in center, maybe Greg Allen. So next year the Yankees could easily have a few lefties in the lineup. If they make the right moves, they could also shore up the rotation a bit. Robbie Ray's a free agent at the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, he kind of looked like a budget option for Toronto. Now he might be a bigger ticket name, so he might not be one you think of, but in terms of budget options. But there's going to be options this offseason that could fly under the radar. Plus, maybe have Severino back next year. I mean, Cole, Tyone, Severino, Montgomery, Herman. I mean, those are 5 solid options in the starting rotation for next year. But I think I went off on a little bit of a tangent there. But rolling into Miami today, both Gallo and Rizzo should be available for that. So that's going to be fun to watch. They're only a few games out of a wild card. The problem with that is right now it's looking like if they make a wild card and the AL East division standings hold, you'd be playing a 1-game playoff in St. Petersburg, Florida, which has been a house of horrors for the Yankees. They have not been able to play there. So this is the year that going for the wild card might not be, going wild card or nothing might not be the best idea. But, they're going to have Garrett Cole on the mound. He should be able to give them an ace-like outing, and if they can get something going offensively, then they could. With Cole on the mound, if you get something going offensively, you can beat almost any team. You automatically have advantage if you can, say, get Garrett Cole 3 or 4 runs. Even some days, 2 runs will be enough for Cole. Maybe not for the Yankee bullpen, but for Cole. But if the Yankees get him a sizable lead, then he's able to just go after hitters with his fastball. Like in Boston, that start where Boston was clearly working him, you kind of saw in that 3rd inning, he was nibbling. He was trying to hit the corners of the zone with his slider and with his changeup, with his curveball, with his fastball. I mean, if he had a 3-run lead there, maybe you see him kind of just throw the high-octane fastball that right there, top of the zone. Maybe try nibbling a little less. But Yankees start a run where they're not playing the best teams. I mean, Miami, Baltimore, Seattle's going to be kind of tough, but they have a chance to bury Seattle way below them. They're one of the 2 teams ahead of them in the wild card standings. They have a chance to just bury Seattle, and they should try to take that. I mean, if you take 3 out of 4, or if you take 3 out of 4 from Seattle, you're in a good spot. And then I think it's Kansas City. So, stretch of games the Yankees should win. Let's go out. Let's sweep a couple of series. Let's start feeling really good. Let's sweep Miami. At least 2 out of 3, but you want to sweep. Let's sweep Baltimore. Take 3 out of 4 from Seattle. So, this is a stretch where the Yankees need to play very well.